Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We begin with continuing coverage of the ongoing COVID surge in New York. Steuben County officials are asking residents to continue taking precautions into the new year. This after the county's 7-day positivity rate climbed to 17%. Big Fox's Matt Kleindens joins us now with all the details.
Good evening, Ann. Over 100 COVID cases and 6 new deaths were reported by Steuben County on Monday. With New Year's Eve just days away, Steuben County officials are urging residents to monitor their symptoms. Coming out of the Christmas weekend, Steuben County reported 126 new COVID cases, bringing the 7-day positivity rate to just over 17%. This comes as New York continues to monitor a surge of COVID cases and hospitalizations. Additionally, Steuben County is reporting 6 new COVID-related deaths. This brings the county's COVID death toll to 269 people. In a statement, Steuben County Health Director Darlene Smith continued to urge residents to get vaccinated and tested with New Year's Eve just days away. She added that anyone who experiences symptoms should stay home for the holiday. Governor Hochul is expected to announce updates on the COVID protocols on Friday. Matt Kleindens, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
New York City's current mayor, the mayor-elect, and the governor are all in agreement. Schools need to remain open. Mayor Bill de Blasio laid out his reasons during his daily press briefing today.
Schools need to be open. Everyone talks about the needs of our kids, their health needs, physical health, mental health, nutrition needs, their social development needs, their academic needs. Schools need to be open.
It is so important that we get our kids back to school as soon as this winter break is over.
Mayor de Blasio announced the city will double PCR testing for teachers, staff, and students. The mayor also announced a new plan to deal with positive COVID-19 cases in classrooms. When there is a positive case, all students in the class will be given at-home testing kits. They can return to school after their first negative test and will be given another at-home test within 7 days. With the country seeing a rise in coronavirus cases, the CDC is now shortening the isolation period for asymptomatic Americans from 10 days to 5. Many have been unable to attend their daily activities like work and school, and health officials hope this new recommendation can help keep society functioning. The White House's chief medical advisor, Anthony Fauci, is also revealing new insight into where things stand on a vaccine mandate for domestic air travel. Aisha Hasni has the latest from Washington.
With a surge in Omicron cases disrupting everyday society, the CDC is now updating its guidance for those infected with the virus but not showing symptoms. They will now only have to isolate for 5 days instead of 10.
A lot of the quarantine that's happening is essentially lockdown by stealth. Shortening the quarantine period is consistent with science is the right step in the right direction.
We have to do more. We have to do better. And we will.
But testing shortages are still a problem, and President Biden admitted as much on Monday, even as the government gears up to ship millions of home tests to homes next month. Republicans say there's plenty to critique.
Joe Biden's going to have to really look in the mirror and try to live by what he told those governors in that teleconference. Yeah. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to this. The federal government's not the answer.
Meanwhile, President Biden's chief medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, backtracking after confusion over whether a vaccine mandate for domestic air travel is under consideration.
It's on the table and we consider it, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. I doubt if we're going to see something like that in the reasonably foreseeable future.
And Dr. Fauci also stressed the importance of getting more children vaccinated if they are eligible to help combat the spread of the Omicron variant. In Washington, I'm Aisha Hasni, Fox News.
The Westchester, New York District Attorney won't pursue criminal charges against ex-Governor Andrew Cuomo. DA Miriam Rocha announcing the decision today, declining to file charges over allegations by 2 women that Cuomo kissed them inappropriately. In a statement, Rocha said her investigation found credible evidence that the alleged conduct occurred, but that her office, quote, cannot pursue criminal charges due to statutory requirements of the criminal laws of New York. Elmira police make an arrest after a report of gunshots being fired inside a bar. Investigators say they responded to Gush's Thirsty Bear on 351 East Washington Street Monday around 10:10 p.m. Officers say when they arrived, they learned the suspect left the building and fired more rounds outside and then left the scene. The suspect was identified as 43-year-old Jeffrey Mahood. Mahood has since been booked in the Chemung County Jail. No injuries were reported. First responders were called to a fire at the old Blossburg State Hospital early this morning. Fire crews were first dispatched around 4:30 after reports of smoke coming from the second floor window. The fire was finally put out just before 7 in the morning. An investigation into the cause is underway. The Blossburg Hospital has sat abandoned since its closing in 1972. Guthrie Corning Hospital is celebrating the birth of a baby boy on Christmas Day. Easton David Lewis Martin was born to parents Kaylee Carr and Justin Martin of Woodhull. Baby Easton arrived weighing 6 pounds, 10 ounces. Guthrie says this was the first baby born to the hospital system on Christmas Day. Congratulations to that family. A gunman opens fire in Colorado, killing 3 people in Denver and a 4th in a neighboring suburb. Now police are looking for a motive for the string of violence. Jeff Paul has more.
A Colorado shooting spree leaves at least 5 people dead, including the gunman, a police officer among those who are injured. The shootings stretched across Denver and the neighboring suburb of Lakewood. Police say the violence started around 5 p.m. local time on Monday in Denver when a gunman shot and killed 2 people and injured a 3rd. Shortly after, authorities say a 3rd person was killed in a different part of the city.
This is the holiday season. To have this type of spree take place is not normal for our community. We cannot lose sight of the victims in this, the people that are still fighting for their lives.
Following the Denver shootings, the suspected gunman exchanged gunfire with the police officers and then fled to the nearby suburb of Lakewood. There, a 4th person was killed. Officers say the gunman later ran to a hotel where he is believed to have shot a clerk.
You could hear just the popping outside, and it was like 1 shot and then maybe 5 or 6 more and a couple more after that. They swooped us right inside, got us in the back room and got all the gates down and everything.
A police officer was shot and wounded a short time later. The suspect was eventually fatally shot, but it's not yet known if he was killed by police.
Since it moved over into Lakewood, our investigators have been working diligently with investigators from Denver Police Department. We will work together on this.
Police say they are still working to determine a motive for the shootings. In Los Angeles, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, this year companies have worked through staffing shortages, supply chain disruptions, and consumers have dealt with record high inflation. Coming up, we take a look back at the year in business.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. A winter weather advisory is in effect until about 4 o'clock in the morning for most of our counties from Steuben all the way to Chemung and down into the northern tier of Pennsylvania. And so it is going to be pretty slick early tomorrow morning. There could be some icy conditions as well. Temperatures will be diving down into the lower 30s by midnight, and it's going to climb up a little bit as we head into the early morning hours. In fact, we'll start off in the mid-30s early in the day on Wednesday. We are expecting some slick roads out there, so just take it easy. And then spring-like conditions will return for the end of the week. We have more rain chances as we head into the new year. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But if you're planning to celebrate New Year's in the Twin Tiers, here's a look at your forecast. Temperatures will be around 40 degrees at 7 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, we actually bump that up to around 43 and then 44 degrees right around the midnight hour. So it's going to be pretty mild Friday evening, and then it turns much colder this weekend. But out ahead of the storm system this weekend, high pressure will be building in tomorrow. So although we'll see some rain chances early in the day, it will be a lot drier by the afternoon hours. Unfortunately, those clouds will stick around. It may be a little bit slippery with some wet roads. Temperatures around 36 degrees at around 8 o'clock. 41 by lunch, and then we drop back down into the 30s by 5 o'clock in the evening. So for the latter part of this week, the jet stream rides right over our area. I'm expecting to be dry for the most of your Friday, but we do have another storm system coming in, a much stronger system that will push in Arctic air for the early part of next week. So let's take a look at our future radar, where we're finding a few showers, maybe a little bit of snow mixing in with freezing rain tonight into early tomorrow, but it looks like all that will be clearing out by 7 o'clock in the morning. A few stray showers here and there, maybe just some drizzle across our area. It will be pretty cloudy by the afternoon hours on Wednesday. By Thursday, as we start off with temperatures near freezing, there could be a little bit of snow changing over to rain by the afternoon hours, but it's not going to be widespread because it's going to be rain here and there and a little bit drier conditions on your New Year's Eve. Here's a look at your forecast. Temperatures tonight will be down into the 30s, right at freezing in Elmira, above freezing in Corning. Highs tomorrow will be mainly in the 40s, and then expect even warmer conditions. On New Year's Day, our high will be around 54 degrees. We do have the possibility of rain, and then much colder air moves in early next week.
A dreaded benchmark in oil prices could return next year. Oil industry analysts are looking for signs of a return to $100 a barrel. The U.S. has an undersupply of oil for a variety of reasons, including the Biden administration's canceling of pipelines, drilling moratoriums, and continued labor shortages. Saudi Arabia is warning global production could fall significantly. Oil prices are currently at about $72 a barrel. Some analysts believe higher oil prices will lead to an increase in gas prices. As the holiday season comes to an end, more and more Americans may find themselves with higher credit card bills. The Federal Reserve says overall credit card balances rose by $17 billion in the third quarter of this year. By the end of 2021, Americans are expected to end up with $70 billion more in credit card debt. That's according to financial website WalletHub. Experts predict credit card balances will continue rising into 2022. Last year, people paid off a record amount of credit card debt with the aid of government stimulus money. Companies big and small dealing with staffing shortages, supply chain disruptions, and consumers dealing with sky-high record inflation, all while President Biden's spending plan hangs in the balance. Maria Bartiromo takes a look back at the year in business.
Turning the page to 2022, something most Americans are desperate to do. Worries and upset plaguing Americans all year, despite the year beginning with hope. A new president with dreams of leadership.
America is back. America is back. Diplomacy is back.
By the time President Trump handed the mantle to President Biden, 3 vaccines were ready to go, and many Americans were geared up to get protected. But just a few months later, America was back on her back. With Joe Biden's vaccine mandate facing challenges, even by the Supreme Court, long snake lines for limited testing of COVID, inflation at a 40-year high, food prices up in the double digits, and crime spiking across the country. All of this as bad policy yielded bad outcomes. President Biden pushed his green energy platform and reversed most of President Trump's policies, including killing off the XL pipeline. The move sending gasoline prices up 60% year over year by the end of the year.
You look at these new inflation numbers and our economy is on its back. All the tax experts will tell us that at least a third of middle America will pay a lot more.
The easy money policies caused record high inflation and a shortage of workers who did not want to the job. That led to a lineup of stalled boats at the Pacific ports, leaving empty store shelves. By mid-year, economic growth was spiraling downward from 6% in the second quarter to 2.5% GDP for the third quarter. And in a Fox Business poll, most independents were disappointed with Joe Biden's performance. Meanwhile, major foreign policy mistakes. By the time September 11th came around, 20 years after that fateful day, America was mourning 13 soldiers who were killed in a botched withdrawal out of Afghanistan. With Americans left behind, now Taliban ruled enemy lines. All amidst a wide-open southern border with 2 million apprehensions of illegal migrants for the year and 600,000 others who got away. Illicit drugs pouring in, enough fentanyl was seized to kill 200 million Americans. Still, President Biden tried to push through a progressive agenda with high taxes and almost $5 trillion in spending. The Build Back Better bill included $555 billion spent on climate initiatives, another $80 billion for surveillance of people's bank accounts, and spending on child care and parental leave. But there was no mandate for the spending. In the face of high inflation and $30 trillion in debt, the Democrats did not have the votes to pass it by year end. Despite plenty of volatility, the closing bell on Wall Street capped a year of big gains for the major averages. Even though Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell announced the Fed will pull back the stimulus and start hiking interest rates 3 times next year, markets expected divided government going into the new election year and bought stocks.
Writing down your New Year's resolutions, that's the easy part. Following through with your goals, that's where it starts to get tricky. Jackie Ibanez has tips from experts on how you can stay committed to your resolutions in 2022.
The countdown to 2022 is on. Crews in New York City's Times Square were busy putting the finishing touches on the New Year's Eve ball Monday.
It is the largest crystal ball in the world. What better for looking into the future?
But as the Big Apple prepares for the festivities, people around the world are finalizing their New Year's resolutions.
They can be a time to make a commitment, potentially even a public commitment, to change something that you've always wanted to improve. But come February, many of us struggle to keep those commitments.
So how do you make smart resolutions you'll actually have a chance at following? Experts say start small.
Don't bite off more than you can chew. So think about one thing that is really important to you and focus your energy on that.
Getting into shape is something many people want to address during a new year. And while fitness experts say it's important to stay focused, you need to be careful not to overexert yourself in the process.
Overtraining syndrome, where you're doing so much training that instead of benefiting you, you actually go over the edge, so to speak, and your performance worsens.
But no matter what you want to work on, it can be easier to incorporate a new activity into your life by planning an old activity to give up.
So, for example, if you wanted to go to the gym for an hour every day, what are you going to do 1 hour less of in your day? Adding things takes time, and so you've got to subtract as well.
Experts also say the pandemic has changed the types of goals people are making. Adding the top resolutions this year include spending more time with loved ones, making more meaningful connections, and traveling.
A never-ending pasta promotion offered at Olive Garden might be coming to an end. The CEO of Darden Restaurants says the pasta deal may not have boosted sales as the company expected, and that it might not return. Quarterly sales rose in the same period from 2 years ago, despite the labor shortage and the coronavirus pandemic. The company says it has a never-ending abundance with its never-ending first course, which includes unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks. Walmart is the latest company facing scrutiny of its handling of business in Xinjiang. That's the northwestern Chinese region, home to millions of mostly Muslim minorities. This following the passage of a U.S. law banning many imports from the region over forced labor and human rights concerns. The Arkansas-based retailer attracted anger on Chinese social media beginning last week from users who allege the retail giant stopped selling products from that province in its China-based stores. In response, some said they canceled their Sam's Club memberships, while social media accounts run by Communist Party-blocked entities weighed in to criticize the company. The Biden administration has accused the Chinese government of engaging in genocide against religious minorities in the region. A lot of changes came to the auto industry this year, including more manufacturers turning to electric cars. Gary Gastelou has a look back at all of the changes.
Electric cars were all the talk of 2021, but electrified trucks were the really big thing. Ford started the year off with the first hybrid F-150 and ended it with the compact Maverick hybrid, which at $21,490 is the lowest priced Ford, lowest priced hybrid, and lowest priced pickup on sale today. Jeep also ventured where it never had before with the plug-in hybrid Wrangler 4xE that could travel over 20 miles on just electricity, even off-road, and combines the electric motor with a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine to make it one of the most efficient and powerful Wranglers for longer trips. But it was American startup Rivian that was the first to market with an all-electric truck. Its R1T packing a 4-motor all-wheel drive system with over 800 horsepower and the ability to tackle the toughest terrain in style. Close behind was the monstrous GMC Hummer EV, which resurrected the classic brand name on an electric pickup with 1,000 horsepower. And there's more to come in 2022 when Ford rolls out the F-150 Lightning, the first all-electric version of America's best-selling vehicle.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. A rare albino jaguarundi cub is rescued in Colombia. The rare female species was discovered in northwest Colombia. It is the first case of an albino jaguarundi reported in the country. The unique wild cat will be transferred to a conservation park. Jaguarundis are a rare type of puma which normally live in North and South America. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.